you might find the conversation triggering. If that's the case, then please note that you can get help on our website, advancedcharity.org.uk, and we'll also be putting the link in the chat. I won't go on any more other than to say today we talked to Lady Unchained. She's a poet, a broadcaster, a mentor, a TEDx London speaker, a host for National Prison Radio, and an advocate for life after prison. No more words from me. Welcome to Lady Unchained.
Hi, hello everybody. Oh my gosh, honestly, it's absolutely amazing to be here today. I'm so honored. Thank you, Nikki. So I'm gonna start off with an opening poem, if that's okay. This poem is called Ain't I a Woman? Ain't I a woman? Does my strength confuse you? I can see it hurts when you see me smile. Does my smile make you fear me? Because all you know is that I'm known to be violent. You heard I use my smile to disguise my anger. You heard right. See, my inner child is crying out for help, like Joel Taylor said, some men cry with their fists. Yes, I am a woman. Fighting through men to be heard, my small voice doesn't even begin to break through the cracks of hench arms and skin that can be mistaken for stone. So I'm forced to shout out, scream out, fight harder than the man them. Until I'm seen like one of the man them, walk, talk, and stand like the man them. Do you see me now? Standing taller than most of these man them, went to jail before all of the man them. So I built the unchained road to free what we thought was lost. Yes, I am a woman. Because only a woman can see the things that I've seen and still find a way to protect our men, hold them close to our chest until they feel loved again. So answer this, without the gal them, can they be any man them? I am a woman. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki.
Wow. Talking very powerfully about being a woman. So let's talk about that. From your own experience and the women you've met in the criminal justice system, how does being sentenced and in prison affect women specifically?
To be honest, it's a very difficult time as a woman because, I mean, like you said in the beginning, a lot of women that go through the criminal justice system have been abused one way or another, and then they're sent into the criminal justice system to then be abused further, because I think people seem to believe that in the criminal justice system, we send people to prison and they come out magically fixed and everything is just amazing and they're going to come out this new person. Actually, there's not a lot of support that goes into a sentence. And if we look at what women are serving, they're serving short-term sentences, which doesn't give them enough time to register onto a course and complete the course, which means they're just going back into the community, somehow understanding that they have more problems, but with nowhere to go to access the support in order to help kind of tackle or focus on those problems. So think about it, women are we look after children, we look after the home. And, you know, as a woman, I guess that's why we're sentenced harsher. I think even before I went to jail, a lot of people said to me, oh, it's all right, you're a female, you're going to get a short term. Anyway, if you get sent to prison, that probably won't happen because you're a female. Because in reality, we think women don't commit crime, so women don't get sent to jail. But the reality of it is that women are sentenced harsher than men because, you know, society believes that we are meant to be the people that look after the home. We shouldn't be committing crimes. We shouldn't be out here, you know, being violent or being aggressive or stealing. And if you look at most of the petty theft is a big thing that women go to jail for. There's drug addiction. I think when you look at the woman, what we look at when they're sentenced is just the crime. We don't look at the whole woman. So we're looking at, you've committed a crime, you need to do this time. Whereas if we tackle the things that kind of led up to that that woman committing a crime, I think it will be more easier. Instead of sending them to jail, send them to a women's center. You know, let them get access, let them get support where they can kind of seek help if they're trying to escape from an abuser. Going to prison doesn't help you escape an abuser. You come back and you go right back into the hands of your abuser. You know, so there's so much like that goes into a woman being sentenced, but it's never kind of looked at when that woman is in front of a judge.
So talking about being a woman on the street, you're about to perform your next poem.
So I want to perform Track Queen. When I got to jail, I met a lot of women that were in prison because of their partners. And it's interesting because they never would say that they were in prison because of their partners. They would just say, you know, me and my partner. And I always ask, where is he? Or is he doing a sentence too? And the partner was never doing a sentence. The partner's always on the outside. So this poem is called Trap Queen, and it does talk about a few, you know, there's a rap out there that is called Trap Queen, and it is talking about what we know women do. You know, men get women to kind of do the dealing of the drugs and the cooking of the drugs in the kitchen, and that track is actually kind of promoting that. So I thought, why not write something that kind of challenges it and tells you what really happens when you are a trap queen. So this is Trap Queen. He said he's in love with that Coco, so your relationship had to be on the low. But when it came to doing time for that Coco, see, your relationship became public real quick. Because see, he needed you to take the rap. The funny thing is, he probably would have got less than you if he could just own up to his crimes, but you was too keen to please a man who would never please you back. So after you got the 5, he promised you he'll be there till the end, and those first 3 months just flew by because see, he put in all the work to make sure you was nice and sweet in your new crib. The problem is now he's got a new Lola on the out, and to her, you just look like the ex who didn't have a clue. But she'll soon get the cue to put in the extra work just like you, so she can be main chick to what used to be your main squeeze. Now you're living with this pain that's got you wanting to split your wrists, got you thinking about the life you had before you went in, the men who treated you right, but you just wanted to be part of that clique. But where was that clique when the judge clicked away your life? And where was that clique when your mum was shedding tears for your lies? See, it hurts me to write these words because it makes us women look like fools. Can the D really be that good? To have you doing time fantasizing about how good it was, while your man's on the out reliving your fantasies with his new boo? See, too many girls want to be road girls, but they don't know what it means to be behind those bars, losing your identity to those walls, only reminding of your name when you receive post. Told when to eat, sleep, and better be ready for that roll check. So you don't want to be caught with one leg up and arse out, only to turn around and find Officer Smithy at your window because see, he got front row tickets to your one-woman show. So carry on putting money and man before your life and see if they ever put you before their time. Just remember that life teaches you how to live if you only live long enough to learn. Unless if you don't get caught up in a fate war only fueled by your greed, because the only thing you'll be learning is how to rest in peace. Or better yet, just get used to those bars. And I ain't talking about the kind of bars that I just told. Thank you.
Wow. I think, you know, a really strong message about the link between women's relationships and ending up in prison or being an offender, as many call. How do you feel from your own experience and the moment you leave prison, how has that changed since? What kind of help is out there? You talked about women's centres earlier. What's been your experience or women you've talked to?
To be honest, I found out about women's centres only from doing the documentary Unchained with National Prison Radio, and also with working with Arts Admin and being given the opportunity to go and facilitate workshops at Pekin, part of Southwark Women's Hub. And I was amazed. I was amazed to be in this space only women, so women-only spaces, and see the kind of support that is there, because that would have been at least a good 10 years after I'd been out. You know, I guess for me, because I was always trying to challenge my criminal conviction, I wanted to do more. And I was limited to what I can do because I didn't know about stuff like women's centers. I found out about that later on when I've kind of established myself. But there is support out there, especially, you know, I think for me personally, when I was in jail, there's women that I met that only after talking to people like Amanda from the documentary and being out and kind of seeing the difference. I used to be very judgmental towards women who would go to jail and come back. You know, for me, that was like, why would you come back to this place? But I had never experienced being a woman that had been released and then been on the outside world. I was just a woman in prison. So it's very different, the kind of trauma that you have to go through in order to kind of figure out, actually, I am good enough to receive this help. Because even though the support is there, sometimes as women, we've been broken so much by the criminal justice system or by a partner that it's very hard for us to seek that help, because we kind of see that help as admitting failure, admitting that we are not the mothers that we were made to be, the women that we were made to be on this earth. And it is hard. And I guess that's why I use poetry to do what I do, because, you know, working with women, I've seen women tell stories that could, if somebody else heard it in just a conversation, you'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But when they write it down in a poem and they then perform it, the power of getting that out, I mean, it's amazing. I've met women that said they're not performers, they're not writers, they're not, you know, just like me. That's exactly how I was. I'm not a poet, I'm not a writer, I'm not, this is just my thoughts, this is my diary, you know, and I've led that and I've carried it forward to the next people so that they can see that they can share this, because we need to show more of women coming out of prison and the great work that we can do if they give us the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned a number of partners and women's organizations there. So I'll pick up with you on that at the end, but on to Forgotten People.
Okay, yes. So this is the poet, you know what, this is, it's very emotional because there's a video coming out and it's a film, and it's my personal campaign against the racism within the criminal justice system. When we talk about the way women are harshly sentenced, we then need to look at when the way Black women are harshly sentenced. Black women are kind of more or less looked at like Black men in the criminal justice system. There's no difference. Our sentences are very strong and very harsh straight away. It's like we're sentenced for many things, not just our crimes. So this is my personal campaign against the criminal justice system. And if we're talking about change with George Floyd, you know, the UK is not innocent. The UK is not, there's loads of things that happen here, but we just don't talk about it. And this is my personal stand against all the stuff that's been happening to Black people within the criminal justice system. Please stop killing us. I speak for the forgotten people, the ones you would rather see buried, tortured, and would call yourself lucky if you never had to see us. We are not your slaves, your prisoners, and we will never be your property, not again. I guess that's why you throw us in cages, paint hateful words on our streets, throw rocks and stones in the form of police brutality, and still we rise. Our bodies have been abused so many times throughout history, you hope to be extinct. We cry out with destruction and abuse because that's what you taught us. The one who inflicts the most pain is the master, so stop asking how we got this way. Maybe ask yourself why your ancestors put mine in boxes they knew they can never fit in. And after fighting you with every breath, sometimes their last, they started to break their own bones just to free you. Not because they were weak, but after oppressing one's soul and spirit, the body is weakened and the flesh starts to lose the hope to live. I'm not here to pass blame or justify why there's so much bloodshed in the society we claim works. I'm asking you to stand up for human rights. I'm asking you to stand up and speak out instead of avoiding the problem that we see and still do nothing about. I'm asking you to understand that we are all connected through sight, sound, and touch. And every time we look up, we see the same sky. We breathe the same air, and when we bleed the same color. So if Black people no longer exist, tell me who or what will be next. And are you willing to find out? Or will you help me build an unchained world where love is love and color? Well, color is for balloons at parties. Rise, my nations, rise. Thank you. Oh.
Wow. Okay. So a lot in there. So let's pick up on, you know, your words, color. As a Black woman, how was the experience for you being in the criminal justice system in prison? You and I have talked before about your immigration status coming into question.
Yeah. So when I got sentenced, I really did think I was being sentenced for one crime, but when I got into prison, I realized that I was also being sentenced for being a Black woman, being an African woman. I was born in Uganda, Kampala. I had this like picture. I wish I could show you. People might not be able to see it properly, but I literally had to dig it out of my mum's album, and I think I'm about 6 years old, dressed up in like the little kind of like, I think that reception you get to dress up like, and I got sent to a foreign national prison, which I really questioned, but they basically threatened me with, if you don't go, we will send you to the block. Somebody that has never been to jail, the cell that I was in for me was the block. You know, I didn't need any more things taken away from me. So being taken to the block was not going to happen. So I, you know, took this journey to Lincolnshire, which is somewhere near Manchester or somewhere along those lines. I'm from South London, guys. Um, and so I remember straight away kind of realizing that something's not right. You know, the dates are wrong. There's so many things like, you know, when you're in prison as a British inmate, you're allowed to get weekend release once you reach a certain stage of your sentence, or you can prove that you know, are trusted. But those were all taken away from me. And I was then kind of given a deportation date, which 9th of August. And I remember thinking, this is not right. This can't make sense. For me, I see my prison sentence as something that was meant to happen. I think people go to jail all the time. They come out and they're like, I just don't want to talk about this no more because it's so hard. But for me, I went through so much in the criminal justice system in that one sentence that I had to learn everything that could possibly happen to an individual so that I can come out and put light and shed a lot of light on it. I have since performed a poem called Dear Pia Foley, which is to the officer who kind of basically told me that the prison I was in would be the best prison for me because, you know, I can meet people that speak the same language if English is not my first language. And I remember really questioning my English, you know, finding a dictionary. And, you know, I know I got out of that through fighting, going on hunger strike. You know, I lost a lot of weight. I was never nothing visible, if you want to call it that, because I've never been that slim. And I know there's a lot of women that are not here to talk that story. They're not here to share that story. They're not here to talk about what truly happened. And if they are, they're in another country that people don't really want to hear about those stories. It's not relevant in those countries to discuss these things because you're alive. You know, why are you talking about the past? But there's an injustice there. People should not be treated like that, to the point that they say, you know what, I give up. I'm going to just go back to a country that I don't know, a country that I never grew up in. If we want to say I'm a product of my environment, so if you're going to send me back to anywhere, you should send me back to South London because I was raised in South London and I learned everything I learned in South London. You cannot send me to another country and then put me there and hope that I will figure it out because there's a lot of injustice within the criminal justice system. And I think that it's not spoken about enough. And if it is, you know, a Black person commits a crime, they do time, they go to jail, and that's what it is. And we're meant to admit that this is just what happens. But then if we look at the Black people that have been killed within the criminal justice system, you know, there's families out there still waiting for some kind of justice to be served. You know, 5 years on, 10 years on, we're still here, you know, and that's why in the words I say, you know, the one who inflicts the most pain is the master, because we've been abused so many times that when people start writing, when people start screaming and fighting back with abuse and anger, it's like, oh, that's just Black people. That's how they respond. But we've been taught that the only way you will listen to us is if we rise up. And unfortunately for us, it's in anger because it's years of abuse that's been kind of silenced. You know, people that have been killed, that has been put under the carpet. And, you know, we talk about America, but the thing is, in America, people are more vocal. I think in the UK, we need to be a lot more vocal because we know it happens and we just kind of say, well, but they did commit a crime though, didn't they? You know, that's not the point. The point is, yes, they've done the time. The whole sentence is the whole crime. You've done the time. They shouldn't be, oh, actually, now we're going to deport you back to the country that, you know, you don't know or you didn't grow up in. It was a very dark time. I think for me, that's when my mum and my family strongly believed that I wouldn't make it. I had threatened them a lot, like, you know, just don't bother coming back. I just, you know, because I was confused. I was lost. My identity was taken away. And, you know, now I have natural hair and, you know, I wear African earrings. I don't say I'm just from South London. If you ask me where I'm from, I just say I'm African because, you know, I was made to just be forced to just say it constantly while I was in that prison. You know, I was no longer British, I was a foreign national, and that's what I would be to them. So yeah, it was a dark time.
And I think, acknowledging that systemic racism has been a much bigger conversation, but there's a lot to do. And women in the criminal justice system has been a long conversation. Gender inequality has been a long-term conversation.
Yeah.
How do you think we as organizations that work with women specifically, that have specific spaces, can do better?
I think, to be honest, it's promoting people like myself, people that have those experiences, and kind of, it's not easy to come out of jail and have a criminal conviction. I've said this before, like, it's taken me, it's been 11 years since I went to jail. It's taken me a good 11 years to be confident enough to share my story wider, because even after sharing your story the first time, there's that, oh my God, what are people going to say? What, like, what are people going to, they're going to judge me straight away. It's kind of giving that person back their confidence through creativity. I mean, I never would have believed that I would be out here, performing live with you guys, and getting awards and nominated and stuff. Like, all of those things are things that I had to be pushed in, like, regards to National Prison Radio, Arts Admin, charity Safe Ground, like charities, Working Chance, that have said to me, Brenda, you can do this. Like, you can do this. And also, I've gone there and seen other people that have been in my shoes. So it's not like everything is going to be great and we're going to help you do this. There's other people. We need to motivate more people with lived experience, because if I look at a board or board of directors or trustees, and I'm like, there's no one there that looks like me. There's no one there that is a Black woman that can say they can understand the criminal justice system like me. When I was in the foreign national prison, they told me it was the best prison for foreign national inmates, but yet there was not even one Black officer. That confused me. If we're gonna work, if we're talking about working with people in the criminal justice system, we've got to remember that there's a lot of Black people in there as well, a lot of Black women, and they need to be able to see people that reflect them. And they need to know that it's possible, like promoting my work, promoting, my artist work, promoting other women that have been through the criminal justice system. That's what shows us that, there is somebody I can aspire to that. I watched the news constantly when I came out of prison, and all I saw was negativity. An offender has reoffended, another criminal has committed a crime. But in my eyes, I'm that criminal. Another criminal could be me. So if all I'm seeing is negative news and negative media or whatever, all I think in my head is that's what I'm always going to be. So let's promote people with lived experience, especially women. Let's let them share their story in a safe space, and with no judgment. Let's allow them to actually maybe relive a part of their life years ago that they probably missed out on, which probably would have helped them blossom, but they were in a very dark place with a lot of dark people. Now let's bring them to light. Let's bring them to a circle of light, so that there's people with support everywhere, because once that's given to you, I'm telling you, you would take the help. I asked for help so much that I think people must be like, oh, Brenda. But I never used to. I never used to ask for help. So let's let them believe that they can ask for help and not be judged again. That's it, really. Yeah.
Amazing. I could ask you many, many more questions. I do have one last one, which I think in a time like this, when we're coming out of lockdown today, but still in 2020 has been very challenging for all of us. And I wonder if you could reflect for us for a couple of minutes of what lockdown has meant for women who might have been in a different kind of lockdown before.
Well, the first time I ever heard the word lockdown was in prison. So when I heard lockdown out here, I thought, Jesus, am I back in jail? I had to really question whether my company or, my artists, I would be able to support the people I support. And it's been hard because I can't go into prisons and do the work that I do, but I still do radio with National Prison Radio once a week, which is amazing. But to be honest, I hope, for me personally, for the first time, the world is on lockdown. The world is a little bit, just slightly starting to understand what people in prison go through. And it's nowhere near, because we are still here live talking together. People in jail are on 23-hour bang up. They have to decide whether they should make a phone call to a loved one or have a shower within that 1 hour that they have. And that's if they get a full hour. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 5. You have to decide. So I'm hoping that after this, we all come back to the so-called norms, that people start to maybe think, you know what, I've never been to jail, but maybe I can start to understand how somebody coming out of prison might feel. Just a little bit of understanding. I'm not saying that we're all going to change drastically and everyone's going to be like, I'm going to work with all these ex-offenders or whatever. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm hoping that in this year that we've had, where there's been fines given to people for being outside in the hottest summer that we've had in ages. It was an amazing summer. People in prison see that sunshine and they watch it from a cell. They don't get to go outside. So I'm hoping that people kind of open their eyes a little bit and be a little bit more understanding to what people go through. Yes, people commit crimes, but anyone can commit a crime. And if I'm honest, we're probably all one mistake away from a sentence if we look at it. Luckily enough for white people, it's a little bit better because you might not get a harsher sentence. But for black people, anything can go, anything can go. So just open your eyes, understand a little bit, maybe volunteer with an organization, volunteer with a charity that works with people in jail. Volunteer, guys, like just go and see it. Meet the people that I work with, the people that I know, the people that I lived with, and just see and understand that there is more to us than just this crime. So yeah, open your eyes, guys. That's all I'm asking.
There's a huge more to you, Brenda, and Lady Unchained, both the same person, finally.
Right, finally, I've been Lady Unchained for years, and Brenda's been the quiet one that doesn't come out. But this lockdown has literally forced me to merge both of them. And so yeah, we will only see what happens next year. It's going to be powerful. So I think together we can be stronger.
Amazing. Thank you for that. We're running out of time, so I have nothing else to say. You've said everything, and I won't even try to repeat or summarize other than thank you. There's some incredible comments, which I'm sure you can see in the chat of everyone, sharing how it's affected them. This is a live stream, but it will be recorded and people can watch afterwards. So I hope we can spread the word.
Yeah.
As I said earlier to everyone, if you can share and join in the conversation, #TalkAboutAbuse, at Lady Unchained for Brenda, at Advanced Charity. Brenda talked a lot.
Don't at me on Twitter at Lady Unchained. So there's another Lady Unchained, but I'm going to message her so we can be friends. But it's at Unchained Poetry.
Chain Poetry, there you go. Thank you for that. And also I just wanted to kind of give everyone an opportunity to carry on the conversation that you started today, because I think this is the beginning of a conversation, not the end. So on December 4th, that's this Friday at 1 o'clock, Advance are talking with the London Women's Services Alliance, a lot of the organizations that Brenda just talked about, who are going to share together how we respond to women, specifically women with from specific communities, and how we do come together, not just for COVID, but to really move forward.
Yes.
I did see a comment about the Corsten report, which for anyone who knows was in 2007 and 2007. A lot has changed, not enough has changed, a lot more can. And faster. So an opportunity to carry on with us on Friday, and then reach out to Brenda and Advance, and certainly we'll watch out for forgotten people.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.